Okay, welcome to another Wednesday night live sketch. My name is Frank Summers, and tonight we're going to be drawing Power Droid from Star Wars. Sorry if there was a little bit of a pause there. My stream didn't look like it was. I was waiting for that little ding to let me know that I was going live, because I'm actually looking at Photoshop, and I'm not inside of I'm not inside of the Hangout on Air dealy. So anyway. Without further ado, we're going to get to Power Droid. I chose Power Droid because, I mean, why not? I feel like even when I was a kid, I was like, whatever, 5 or whenever Star Wars first came out, I was drawn to Power Droid. So what I do is I invite you guys to join me tonight. Grab your sketchbooks, open up your favorite drawing app, and away we go. So the first thing I do is I grab some reference material, and in this case I grabbed the toy model because I liked how simple he was. Tonight I want to do more of a cartoony. Let's start drawing here while I gab. I want to do something a little more cartoony. Which direction should I have him facing? Should I have him? In my head, I have him facing screen right, so why don't we go with that? I like this image better. It's just brighter, and I can see more detailing. But I want him facing screen right. I want to go a little more cartoony. I want to push some of the proportions on him. So I mean, I want to take some liberties here. I'm allowing myself that freedom because I deserve it. Damn it. And we're probably going to go a little more graphic, I think. And by that I mean I'm looking to make him a little flatter, a little sharper. He might still have some rounded edges and corners. But overall, I'm not looking to push the volume of him too much. And the step I skipped, I normally do my homework, as I say, and I have a whole bunch of stuff roughed out ahead of time, but I decided to not do that this time around because I thought maybe people would be interested in seeing the beginning of it and where I start from. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just giving an idea of what he's doing. Maybe he can take a step. Or is that lame? I mean, this is part of it. This is a part of the gestural rough thumbnailing process where I'm tossing out ideas. Don't like that idea. Oops. Maybe just go with a more traditional front. Or excuse me, not front. The legs will just be together. Despite the fact that he has like no face, he still has an appealing look about him. His face is essentially a sticker on the toy, and I find that kind of fascinating that we still kind of read some sort of personality from him. He's got this little chunky smokestack. So I can either make that really tall, make the base chunkier, make the top chunky. I'm going to push the bottom a little more. Clearly this is an eyeball. We read it as an eye. It looks like some sort of tape, like reel-to-reel tape. And from the 70s, clearly from the 70s. Power Droid he's a man of his time. I'm pushing this top part because I want to have some contrast. Definitely make it more squarish. And so now here's a part where I can do one of two things. I can either make this really kind of smaller than what it should be, and I can take a look at that, or I can go the opposite direction and maybe make it like way bigger than what it should be. Which that's kind of, I mean, it's cute. It's okay. We can do cute. This could be tiny. you know, some of this detailing is kind of, I mean, he just looks like a piece of styrofoam or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, as I was doing research today on him, I realized that that there's so many versions of Power Droid. I didn't even realize. Like, there's this guy hiding over here in my reference. I'll pull it out. He got cropped a little bit. This, this, all you see is the side of him. There's him. I don't recall there being other Power Droids in the other films, and I've seen them so many times. I mean, I just don't recall them. So now this space in here that I'm looking at is certainly thinner. So maybe we can take this piece here, the center piece, and make it chunkier. So what I mean by making him more cartoony and more exaggerated, that's exactly it. I'm exaggerating a lot of his elements to find something new. To get some play out of it. You know, this could be sharp. These edges here are, maybe these could be sharp, very sharp, rectangular. I can tell in the model these are rounded. But maybe this rectangular belt piece can be sharp against these rounded corners. These could be more rounded. This could be more rounded. And again, I can tell that I am purposefully making this, a little more tapered than his bottom, a little more tapered than here. I don't know. I'll just pick a different color so you can see it. I'll get some red. Like, this is definitely way more boxy, but I'm definitely squishing it, right? And I'm allowed to do that as long as it's still within the realm. You know, it still needs to read like Power Droid. Let's go back to this little crazy crease on the side here. And it looks like there's like a divot going on. So we can give a hint of a divot. There's some innards going on. And his little chunky spout, whatever, his exhaust. I don't know what this is. I can't wait to get to the legs. Oh. Could I make it go a little more straight? No, I should probably follow because he's got this lean center line going through him, so we'll stick with that. And either flat, or we can try it rounded, the top of the smokestack. I like it rounded because it's a nice round against this is sharp, or I should say flat. This line here is flat. Zoom in a little bit. And I know that maybe I should make it a little taller because it looks like he's got some, I could make it, again, this could be very cubed, or I should say rectangular. And the roundness of the top of his little smokestack can play nicely. And this is ribbed. So I'm deciding, so that I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. This ribbed part of the smokestack, I'm thinking about the legs, right? Let me drag in a guideline here really quickly. Let's make sure I got some. Yeah, they're going pretty straight. Let's get rid of that. So these things are like clearly these hoses. And so now the question is, do I want them ribbed like this? Or I could, you know, play with this a little bit, which is probably the right answer. Get some fats against some thin, and the lines don't have to even be straight. They can be kind of going something like that, right? Let's undo a little bit here. So let's clean it up a little bit. These are our I love that this is clearly a man in a suit, by the way. I mean, there's no... I mean, we can count these rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 rings. It's probably a good idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can vary it. It'll probably... Well, he's leaning, so we're going to get less on the left side here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it can disappear up into nothing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can have the connecting lines. There's some play in there, right? Don't want them to be parallel. That's a tangent, so we'll have to adjust. We can pretend that the other part is... I just used the word tangent. And I'll refresh anybody's memory. I've spoke before about a tangent in one of my previous live sketches. A tangent is anytime we have intersecting lines. So if we have a line here, and we have another line crossing it, right? So this is perfectly... Let me think of a better example. Okay, so if we have... So here's a shirt, right? And it's going into a belt. And here's our belt buckle, if you guys can see this. And then we have like maybe like a pant leg coming off, right? Here's the crotch. Okay. So now if we had like, say, the hand, and here's the arm, and let's just pretend the arm is going back behind the body so that we don't see a hand. The arm's just going behind the body. What we want to do is make sure that the hand, or excuse me, the line that's defining the arm, it goes someplace around here somewhere, right? Because what happens is the line that defines the arm suddenly intersects like around here someplace, like into the belt. Suddenly it just kind of looks like the arm is turning into the belt. And that's a poor design decision, and it flattens the shape out. So we always want to avoid that type of stuff when we can. So we have the arm going like this. We suddenly perceive that, oh, there's an arm back there. It's going behind the body somehow in some way. And it's the same thing here. I'll zoom in a little bit if we can't quite see. I zoom in crazily. And what I'll do is I'll even make a new layer and pull down my layer, my thumbnail layer, and I'll work on top to help illustrate in red so you can see what I'm talking about. Even though I know the purpose of Power Droid tonight is to make them flat and graphic, I still don't want them to be a poor design, right? So let's just get these lines in here. Okay, so right, there's our bumps. And then here's our bumps on the other side. Okay, so if I have this tubular line, this right here, if you can see that, if I bring it all the way across and I make it intersect into here, it just looks like one solid line going all the way across. And that could be, in this particular case, that decision could be desirable. For example, I'm doing it sort of with the feet already. I plan on taking the feet and just drawing a straight line, and I plan on just doing something like this. And in this particular case, I am choosing to flatten the bottom of the feet. However, since there is so much detail going on with these like ribbed legs, if you will, or whatever, I kind of want to give a little bit of depth to them. Because Power Droid is simple, and I'm choosing to place areas that are more complex. For example, this area, this tubular leg, against something that is more straight and simple. And that way they stand out a little more. So when we zoom out, if we zoom out really far, and if we squint at it, like I had my little trick I like to do, things start to have interest. There's a little bit of play in the legs, and that it's almost like I'm highlighting the legs by playing this a little bit more of a complicated area against a more cleaner area of his feet. One thing I forgot to do is set my timer. It looks like I've been streaming for about 15 minutes or so. So I never like to go more than 20 minutes or so. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to work with this layer a little more. I want to tone down some of the ribbed action I have going on here, but that's the general idea. And I'm going to do a tie down layer. I'm going to label this tie down, where I begin to refine what I have built up underneath on my thumbnail. Let's just pull it back a little more. Zoom out. Yeah. I'm looking again at his eye, or whatever that dish would be. I think I'm going to keep it big, large like that, because I think it just makes it cuter, a little more cute. And so now let's stop. So let's just move in, and I'm going to make this a little thicker and pray it doesn't crash Photoshop. And we're just going to really kind of start blocking in what we've built up so far. And I want this center part, this whatever belt area, this dividing area, I want this to be pretty straight, hard edges, and I want these to be sharp, these corners to be sharp. Okay. Because I want that to play against the roundness of his top and his bottom. Nice round pleasing corners. And let's go straight down. Straight down. There we go. Okay. Rounded pleasing corner and go straight down. Good. Work that over just a little more. Okay, lesson of the day is to save constantly here. And we'll echo this little, whoops, this little detailing here on the side. Okay. Whoa. That's a nice little corner. So I have this area is fat versus this thin area right here. So that makes it nice, pleasing to look at. Okay, so now the question is, my little smokestack. Do I want to echo what I'm doing down here with the legs, or do I want to play it pretty straight? I think my gut reaction is, well, let's take a look at the reference. I mean, it's more simplified. It's only 3. I think what we can do is we can introduce 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we can just kind of do the same thing where we're going to have just some lines, some nice straight lines. We'll keep this straight. And again, I think the reason that this is straight plays nicely against the roundness of this little smokestack. I may even push the roundness a little more. Okay, one thing I can see I'm doing wrong already, let's see if I can correct it, is my smokestack is not quite centered with the base. Let's just measure out like that. That feels pretty good. And we can just get it in there. And we can get the roundness back of our smokestack. So this is like oddly pleasing, this smokestack. And, you know. Okay, let's move on. So let's take a look at this center eye. Excuse me. You know, I think I kind of want to keep it rounded. Of course, taking into account the perspective, small amount of perspective that is happening. So it's not quite round, it's squished a little bit. Just gonna come down a little further. Let's erase this. Let's hide our thumbs for a second. Okay, all right. And I do want to give it a little bit of a thin line to give it the impression of just some thickness. Maybe this, no, we'll keep that flat. The interior little eyeball can be flat. Or maybe not. Maybe I need to nudge it. Let's nudge it. Screen left a tad here. Good. And now let's kind of carve this area. This area is recessed. So we're going to draw a little bit to show that there's some depth to this area. And again, I'm playing it flat against this here. Top of his head is flat. And then we can make this chunky square. Not touching his eye. This could be these little squares could be nested nicely underneath. Let's get these guys pretty square. And we'll do the same thing with the, wait, let's just double check. They have depth. And so does this. This has an interior. So we can give it a thin. These are the buttons. These are the buttons that give you the power to your land speeder or whatever it is you're charging up. Let's clean this. Let's clean this area up a little bit so it's looking a little messy. Okay. Zoom out. Looking okay. All right, let's get in here. Save. And rounded to match what's going on up top up here. Rounded and then flat. Flat. Be a little straighter. This line could be a little straighter, so I want to turn my brain on there. Oops. Good. Okay. Whew. I had to think. Okay. Okay, let's get down to our little legs. And there's some detailing in here, too. Okay. Cool. And how many of these little ribs we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 of these little ribs in the middle, on the bottom half of them. Oh, let's see if we can get them in there. One, we'll do 1 as our center. And we'll try and get 2 on either side. These could be kind of rounded. So no, I don't like. Okay, let's undo some stuff here. They're definitely closer together. So I'm kind of winging this part. Oops. These are a little closer together. All right. Let's get 2 more on the other side. Let's give them a hint of depth. Okay. And we need to give some detailing in here. Good. Now I'm thinking about this corner here. I could just do something like this, which I think is probably the best move for that, to find the edge. And now the feet. So let's just get in there, do a quick save. And let's try and be a little more conscious of what we're doing with our little tubes here. I'm pushing it. I'm going into, I'm nearing tangent territory here. So okay, live with that. This line goes there. This line goes down here. This one goes a little more. And then this one can go over here someplace. Okay, cool. Now for the feet. Feet are, these are pretty interesting, that's for sure. Let's kick out this. Hold on, get a guide down. Oh, I'm close. And we can just draw across. Oh, didn't plan on doing that. Didn't plan on using the guide as a ruler, but that's what happened. All right, and now we can just do a quick subdivision, slightly less of an arc. Pretty sure I can just do that. Just go straight across. He's got that red thing on this. He's got that red Tetris. On the side. What else? He's got a little knob on top of his head up there. I never noticed. We can make that rounded. All right. All right. I'm looking at his little pipe on top of himself. It could be thinner. I think I made it too big. I think I made it too thick. So what I'm going to do is go in here. Let's do a quick cheat. Should have went thinner with it. Yeah, I like that much better because it was so thick. I felt like it was competing with his legs. But at least if he's thinner, you know. All right. Well, why don't we? I have some time here. If you guys don't mind hanging with me a little longer, I'm gonna paint him up. All right. So let's just make a new layer, color. So this will be interesting. What should I do? I could probably just do. I'm gonna sample it. Maybe even push it a little higher. And now for color, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do? Maybe just a standard brush. And this is when my brushes get a little hairy for some reason. Shape dynamics. Okay, good. Sometimes the Kyle brushes, they get a little fluky. All right. And by fluky, I mean I'm just gonna mass in color. I'm gonna worry about detailing and stuff later. They make my standard brushes kind of get a little off. I can't quite explain it other than that. So I'll get this guy finished for tonight, and I'll have him posted up on the old tubes. If you found me from someplace else, I try to run my live sketch once a week, and I update my. I have a blogger still. I have a Tumblr. All these links can be found on my YouTube page. I try to update every day with daily sketches. Try to keep my hand busy. Okay, good. I feel good about that. Let's just pick some more color. Maybe a little less gray for those legs. It's the same type of gray that's going on. I'm gonna go a little lighter. Yeah, it's better. Because it was challenging the line art. Zoom in a little bit. So it's kind of getting hard to read, but turning into a muddy mess. I mean, I feel like I'd like to add a little bit of texture to this guy, to his tone. I'm going to do a quick tone pass on him. Not quite sure what I'll use yet for that. Maybe I've been using the charcoal pencil lately. It's kind of nice. And you get some control over it. Whoops, let's get the little knob here. Okay. Well, this is something. You can barely see this. I'm thinking about background too. Lately, I've been working on like a very light tone of the background. It has more to do with letting my eyes not get strained so much. If I have just a plain white background, my eyes definitely pay the price. What I might do right now, actually, is take my darker. Whoops. Just so I can make sure I'm covering all the holes here that may be popping up. See, there's some right there along that edge. We can clean it up a little more here. There we go. Better. What's going on with his feet? Silver. Silver. Okay. Not quite silver, is it? Okay, zoom out, see what we got going on here. If I was to take a guess, the little eyeball and the big button, very similar in tone. Corner. Okay, let's check out what these other buttons are. A bit of a yellow. Definitely could go a little more saturated. And we have a red, but I might sample my own red because it's looking a little. Oh my goodness, let's take a look. Yeah, see, it's looking kind of pink. I'm gonna push it more saturated. Probably has a lot to do that it's a picture, it's a photo, and so it's a photo of a sticker. So you know what I mean. There's multiple levels of color being lost. And now I think I really do want to just push saturation in general on these buttons. Yeah, just so they pop a little bit. There we go. Save. Lighten up my background a little more. I noticed that he kind of has a bit of a sticker face. There's like a black square. Let's see if I can kind of see if I can eyeball this. I'm running into the same problem as before. It can't be that dark. It needs to be more gray. Otherwise, it's like challenging the line work. There we go. Okay. Let me go a shade darker. Oh. Let me go a little darker on that. That's good. Some of this is a little messy. Let's clean this up. Wrong layer, whoops. Let's go back up. Sloppy there. Let's get that nice and straight. Good. All right. Yeah, see, this darker tone here definitely helps make these objects pop a little more, you know? Okay. Yeah, there we go. And so let's head back into our color layer, and like this is almost the same exact as that. Alrighty. And now let's get that little Tetris looking thing going on. I'm going to get rid of the line, I think, that I used to outline it. We'll take that line off. Look up to the tie down. Just that. There we go. We can sharpen these edges a little better here on our detail. Okay. Tie down looks like it needs a little more cleaning up here. Okay. Okay, I think what I can do now, fold this. Yes. I think I can make a tone layer. We'll make that a clipping mask so that anything I draw, so if I just swipe right across, the only thing that you see is that will be contained inside of our color. And I'm going to do my trick here. I'm just going to make this multiply. I want to pull it down to around 50 or so. I am not a painter as much as I wish I was. And this is where I'm going to experiment with some textured pencils. I have a charcoal pencil. Let's make it big. And, you know, look at a bit of a darker color here. Probably pull that down a little more. No, too much. Kind of almost don't mind this looking a little chunky. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be a. Let that bleed a little bit into the. I want to have some tooth. You know, see? Whoa. I want to have a little bit of grit. It's fat. Okay, let's use my lasso tool here to define an area that I don't want my brush to go into. What's that? Try it again. Oh, let me think. Subtract. Yes, there it is. Good. Subtract it again. Okay, getting better. There we go. All right, there's our power droid coming along. And one more thing I think I'd like to do and I'd like to add another layer, add it to the clipping mask. This can also be set to multiply, maybe a little like less. And I just want to pop in some core tones. And by that, I mean just darker areas. So like this could be darker, maybe a little less because it's doubling up. Yeah, so like, you know, this area is a little darker. You know, maybe this shadow over here is a little darker. This area is darker. Just pop, push the shadow a little more. Maybe really get into these legs a little better. And I think a highlight would be nice. So we can make another layer. We can make that also tone. Let's call this core tone. And then we can call this highlight. Add that to the clipping mask as well. And we can do maybe soft light. Let's try that. And just get some lighter color, like a white, maybe a little more. Hit these edges a little more. And maybe there's just, you know, some light is hitting off of these. highlights and the buttons. All right. So there we go. There's our power droid. Give him one more looking over. It's okay. He's all right. Let's give him a quick shadow on the ground and set that to multiply also, maybe 60 or 50%. Let's try some red. See what happens. Oh, that's nice. I like that. There we go. Decent. Okay, guys. Well, I think that'll about do it. I think. Thank you very much for everyone joining me. If you made it through my live sketch, again, I try to do this every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch me on Twitter at Ganklin, Ganklin, or you can follow me here on my YouTube channel for any updates that may or may not come in the near future. I thank you once again for joining me, and I hope to see you guys next week.